Dan RadioStyle, hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Great technique for those of you that are out there trying to manifest anything for that matter. Probably focus a little bit from the specific person kind of side of it, but because it works amazingly well for that. And we'll talk about kind of some of the good ways just as an outline form to kind of help build this process for you. So visualizing through writing. It's a great technique for a lot of reasons. One, as we frequently talk about, it's a focus-based universe, right? So any exercise that can get us focusing on what it is that you're trying to create is a win, for sure. Just focusing on where you would like to go is a very powerful part of the technique. Anytime you do it, any technique for that matter, if you're focusing on where you'd like to go, you're helping create the reality that you're after. So one of the great things to kind of do when you're going to visualize through writing is to kind of take it kind of like you would a story. You want to build out the characters. So we're going to talk about a specific person. Of course, you are the hero or the heroine or whatever, right? You're the important person of the story, right? It's your story. But let's also paint the picture of the participating actors, if you will, the other characters, primarily the specific person. This is where I think it's really important, not just to totally focus on maybe a specific person in mind, but maybe in the concept of love. Like, what is love? What is your character in your story? What makes a loving relationship for that person? So, one, those are some things you want to write out, right? You want to look at what it is that I, the main character, want in a relationship. What are the things that matter to me? Is it maybe a sense of humor? Maybe they're intelligent. Maybe they're sturdy, secure. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's just they're strong and I feel safe with them. Whatever the thing is, spell out all the things that matter to you in a relationship side. And then on another circle, so like maybe one circle's you and you can do spokes off it, right? That's a common way to do it. And you'll write little, they're intelligent. I want someone that's got time for me. I want someone that can raise a family with me. Someone that's dependable. Someone that, cares what I have to say. Like whatever the things are that really matter to you in a relationship. Then in their circle, the circle of whoever this person is, your love interest, right? Start writing out some of their qualities. Some of the qualities, and of course they should work very well and balance nicely with the stuff that you are interested in, right? The things that you would like to have in a relationship. Well, these should be qualities that this love interest, this specific person, have, right? So make a circle for them. Maybe put SP, you can put love interest, you can put just love of my life, whatever you want to call it. If you know a specific person, then you certainly can write their names. Again, I like to keep it from the standpoint of us focusing on what's good for us from a relationship standpoint, not necessarily describing a person. And the reason I say that is because the process of thinking about what it is that makes for a good relationship with you actually helps promote a healthy relationship. They're creating a healthy relationship. If your specific person's very similar to that, awesome, it's going to work out beautifully. If your specific person's vastly different, then that needs to be something that catches your attention and says, ooh, maybe they're not as good for me as I want. This is where the self-love stuff will really come into play. Self-love matters, obviously, because what am I worthy of? What do I deserve? Do I deserve someone that's there for me all the time? Do I deserve somebody that spends time with me, that treats me as like I'm number one, that treats me like I'm the queen or king? Or do I want to be with someone that doesn't have time for me, doesn't return text messages, right? Like, what is it that you really want from a relationship? Let's manifest that, and then you can kind of put your SP in that genre, right, in the middle of that circle, if you will, but understanding that you're after the love, you're after a healthy relationship that's really the focus, and maybe that person will deliver, and they should, and that's the plan. But let's keep it more from the standpoint of what's a healthy relationship, what's good. Now that we've got the characters in play, maybe there's going to be a child. If you want to kind of start spending some time thinking about who this child is that you guys are going to have together, that's awesome. But then where you can start to go with this is you can start to really build out your story. And I know sometimes we talk about how you don't want to figure out all the little in-between steps, and you don't. But from the standpoint of writing out a story, sometimes that can actually be kind of fun. So let's think about it. Let's talk about how you guys meet. Where's your first date? Where's your first real interaction? Let's think about it. Let's make it someplace, one, that's very realistic, very possible, right? It could easily happen. Let's kind of place it in that. So maybe it's a coworker, right? And maybe it's going to be the break room. Maybe they're getting a cup of coffee, you're getting a cup of coffee, and all of a sudden you've got a chance to talk about the new TCP report and how the cover sheet was missing and how it bothered you tremendously. It's an Office Space reference for those of you that have seen the movie. And if not, you're not missing anything. It's a good movie. But so again, you've kind of written out the story, what gets us talking, what comes from that discussion, how you're like, yeah, that's really cool, and we got along, and then all of a sudden I found out we had certain things in common, right? Maybe they were interested in spiritual stuff or meditating or crystals or whatever, right? Whatever your thing is, right? Could be, who knows? I don't know. Can't speculate on all the choices. But something where you find this common ground. And then all of a sudden now you're starting to imagine how you're going to get together for lunch. Like, hey, why don't we go out and grab some lunch at that place that we both like, and we can chat about crystals, or we can chat about this new TCP report cover sheet letter thing, and how they want us to work on weekends, and how I'm having a case of the Mondays, and I'm really driving that reference into the ground here, obviously. But spell it out. Right? That first interaction. Let's think about all the little details that are going to go into that first time you and your specific person meet. Now, of course, maybe it's not at work. Maybe it's going to be at the coffee shop. Maybe you meet at the local market. And for some reason, you've found something, like you always notice that this individual seems to shop in the organic section. And, maybe the question you ask him is, hey, I wonder if these farms are actually located close, or if these organic farms are far. I just always wonder these weird things. And maybe that starts a crazy conversation between you and them. But spell it out. Start thinking about how these things could play out. So there's your first interaction. That's awesome. Well, let's not stop there. Let's continue the story out. What's your second date? What's 3 months out? So you've had your first date today, let's say, for example. Where are you in 3 months? What are you doing in 3 months? Start writing out that part of the story. Well, we got together. We went on our first trip together. We went out to Palm Springs, or, wherever. That's here in California. It's a fun little area that you can go, right? There's some casinos out there and all sorts of good stuff, right? So start planning. Yeah, we went to the casinos. We saw a show. We were gambling. We had a great time. Went up to the restaurant at the top of the hotel, had an amazing view of Palm Springs and all the surrounding areas, and we just had the most romantic evening, and it was so much fun. We barely even made it back to the room. We were both exhausted. Believe it or not, we didn't even do anything, oddly bad, right? We had so much fun. So again, now you're starting to spell out a little further into your relationship. Again, 3 months. We've had our first date. Let's go out a little further. Now, if you're thinking about maybe making a family, let's start planning that out. Let's start thinking about the house that you guys are going to have together. Let's start thinking about the child's name, how many of them you want, where you're going to grow up, what are some of the better schools, imagining going to back to school night and all those kinds of things with your specific person and your child, and how much fun and how proud you are, and how you get to see their little desk and you sit down on that tiny little seat, that little teeny desk, and you're like, I don't think I'm going to be able to get myself out of this chair, right? Imagine all the aspects that are going to go into it. Spend the time writing your story, developing your story like creative writing would, right? You do the circles, you can do the spokes, you can even do the circles and spokes for, first date as one thing that you would like to write more about. Maybe your wedding day, maybe your honeymoon, maybe your anniversary, maybe Valentine's Day, maybe it's Christmas. Do little spokes of the parts of the story that you want to spell out, and then spell out the story. Write it like it's your story. It's your story to write. You're creating your own story. And that is why you do this. That is the power of this technique. It's not just the busy work. Now, can you type it? Yes, you absolutely can type it. I like writing. Writing's just more personal to me. It's like my handwriting. It's my pen. Like I even buy special pens like this. It's not like it's a super nice pen. I mean, I think I spent $20 on it or something. But I got the refills and it writes really nice. And I actually love this pen. It's just a great pen, right? So again, you get something that makes it special for you and it helps you build your story. But what this does, and where the real power of this is, it gets you focusing on where you're going, and you're logical mind is like, yeah, let's create the story. This is fun. Yeah, and it's like salivating, right? It's not going, he's not even talking to you. He won't even text you back. Like, you don't have those thoughts going on. You're creating a story, and that part of your mind, the doubter, if you will, knows it, knows we're creating a story. And maybe in its mind, if you will, it's thinking, this is fiction, or, oh, well, we're just being creative. It's right, but it doesn't matter because it gets you focusing. It gets you putting energy towards this creation that you've got in front of you. This love that's waiting, this love that you're wishing to experience, this love that you've wanted and are manifesting right now is being created by your thoughts about it, by your thoughts about what you would like to experience, by your thoughts about the person that you would like to be with. And when we put all the time and effort into that and the energy into that, then that is what we're sending to the universe and saying, universe, this is what I'm paying attention to. This is what I'm focusing on. This is what I'm imagining. And that is what I would like to experience. And the universe is like, oh, yeah, totally. That's exactly how you do it. Well done. Good job. Cheerio. And all that kind of nonsense. Awesome. Let's make it so. And that is how it works. And you can hang on to that story and you can add to it, right? You got the first date. Maybe tomorrow you start working on the next thing. Maybe you have a dream and you wake up and you're like, oh, that's right. We're going to take the boat out to Catalina, and then we're going to go out and there's a restaurant out there that we love and it's amazing, right? And maybe we'll do parasailing or who knows, right? Or we'll do zip lines or whatever your thing is. You can start to plan it more and more and more and more. Tomorrow, a week later, a month later, add more to your story. Continue this story and watch as parts of it start to fall in line. As coincidences start to show up in your life that suggest, oh my gosh, this might actually be happening. It's the power of putting your imagination behind what you would like to experience. When those two sync up, when your heart and your mind align, as I've been talking about a lot lately, a lot of very powerful things can begin to happen in our lives. When we can finally get everything isolated and identified and aligned and all those things, so many powerful things begin to happen in our life. Hopefully this makes a difference. Hopefully you guys find some value in this, but I'm kid you not, this is one of the more powerful techniques that are out there. A lot of people highly recommend it. A lot of great success has come from this, and it's just because the process of it forces a long period of time of focus. And as you write or type or whatever, it helps create that story. It helps bring it to life. It helps you fill in some of the gaps. It helps you really spend the time focusing on what you're trying to create. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe. I always appreciate that. And you can click the little bell icon when you hit the subscribe button, and it'll put little lines next to it. That way you'll be notified whenever I put out new videos. And of course, if you enjoy supporting my channel, please do me a favor and do comments, thumbs up. You can share the videos, and certainly by watching them, these are all some of the most powerful ways that you can help my channel if you'd like. I appreciate that for sure. And if you've got any future show topics or thoughts or any of that kind of stuff, throw that in the comments too, please. Appreciate it. And I certainly read those comments. Sometimes maybe a little time will pass in between, a few hours, a day, whatever, depending. Stuff happens in life. But I like to get in there. I like to see the comments. I like to read what's going on. And if you've got a great idea, throw it in there. And it makes the yellow pad. And when that happens, now we're talking. Now we've got another show. So thank you very much for joining me. More great shows coming your way. Appreciate it. Dan RadioStyle.